Good morning, Stan. Welcome back to Star Citizen Wednesdays. Today, we are going to do some more mining, but unlike my normal habit of doing it planet side, well, technically moon side, we are going to try and see what we can get in an asteroid field. And today's ship of choice, of course, as always, is my favorite ARGO Mole. Hopefully all the turrets are set up correctly. Because sometimes we do get bugs issues with the passives. Powering on.
Systems activated. Systems on.
Everything looks good. I could operate out of Lyra. Arc 2 does have some decent points, but I'd rather go and check out High Course. Head over to her 5. Oh, I don't have the keybind set up.
Launch complete.
Alright, let's head out.
Off.
Disengage VTOL. Gear up.
Landing gear up. Quantum trap engaged.
So, asteroid mining is not much different than planet-side mining. The only main thing that makes it slightly more time-consuming is the fact that you are going to run into individual rocks, whereas planet-side mining, you typically find clusters. Oh, more water. There are chances to find clusters of rocks when you're doing asteroid space mining, but you usually don't find more than 2 or 3 together. Let me see if I can move that just a teeny bit. There we go. And as always, when working with the mole, you got to make sure that you're in a full EVA suit. If you go out onto either the left or the right mining turret, the center you can typically not have to worry about because it is atmospheric, sealed in. But yeah, if you're planet side, moon side, and you hop into the side turrets, you'll typically suffocate before you can get yourself back into the ship. You might get lucky, but I wouldn't risk it. So, as typical with mining, you go into your scan mode. You do your pings with your tab. And since we're doing asteroid mining and they're going to be individual for the most part, we're looking for 1750 or 1960. I think there's an 1820 as well. If you see evenly divisible stuff, 2000, 4000, 8000, 12, 20,000, that is for salvaging panels. And you want to not waste your time going to them. Come on. What do we got here? Easy. Easy. We got something good? Nope. Of course not.
Mining mode off.
So that 1900 is a rock. Come on. One thing that really gets to be annoying is scan mode. Loves to ignore. Huh. Okay. Keyboard inputs for thrusting. Especially when you go in and out of scan mode, it loves to just say, screw the input you already had in place. You're not pressing any buttons right now. That looks like an abandoned ship. And so we got an 18.5.
Mining mode on.
One difference between the rocks is planet side you'll be dealing with specifically named rocks. Everything out here is going to be an asteroid of a specific type. M type, P type, C type. Whereas planet side you got like granite, I can't think of all the others right now. That looks like a big boy. And we are going to have a crap run today.
Mining mode off.
So this is probably going to be a long video. When doing normal mining, you do want to focus on your tier 1s. Tarnite, first and foremost. Gold and Bexlite after that. If I don't see any tier 1s, I'm probably just going to suck up tier 2s and call it a day, just to get the video over with. The hell? Oh, it's that ship again. Easy. There we go. Behave. Quartz. Probably should have stayed at Arc 2.
Mining mode off.
There we go.
Mining mode on.
See. You do have to be careful out here. I have slammed this bird into so many rocks unintentionally. Come on, give me something good. Shit. Alright. Got an 1850, 1700. Let's try you. If these last two aren't tier 1s, I'm just gonna say screw it and scoop up tier 2s. I don't want to be recording for an hour.
Mining mode on.
There we go. And yes, you do have to avoid the big non-mineable asteroids in these fields. Per 5 is thankfully sparse compared to like Arc 2. Please? Accordion. Cute. This was a good site back during 4.0.1 when they were doing that resource shortage. because you needed cordium and copper, which are both pretty prevalent here. Let me check my chart. $35. I might be able to crack that. Let's give it a shot. How far away? Alright, that should be close enough for the helix. This might be at the limit for the helix. Hopefully I don't blow the ship up. With 2 Riker 3s, I probably won't be able to crack it. But I do have a surge on this thing, so that might get me in range.
Activating. Systems on.
Oh crap, I'm not close enough. Well. Yep, that's too big. Getting closer is not going to make any difference. Let's see, with the surge. And we're dealing with 35 resistance. Yeah, I'm just out of... Yeah, crap. It's just a little too big. Maybe if I had brought a mining gadget, I could have reduced the resistance, but that 35% is what's keeping me from cracking that.
Mining mode on.
Alright. Next.
Mining mode off.
Surprisingly, I haven't seen any panels out here. Usually when I come mining, it's nothing but panels. Alright, let's see. Tier 2s are Boris, Laranite, Hep, Beryl. I think I saw some ag earlier. This is gonna be a crap run. Easy. Eesh. A little closer than it should have been. It's not even worth getting out of the seat for. Alright, there is 2 panels. You see that's 4,000, so that means there's 2 panels there. 8,000 means there are about 4 panels. Go swim. So if you have a Vulture or the new Misk Fortune. I just realized what that stands. Yeah. You would go and hit those up and scrap panels. Do I have any power to spare? Nope. Yeah, I'm not gonna screw up my coolers. Yeah, this is gonna be a crap run. I'm just gonna settle for tier 2s. Just to get this video over with.
Mining mode on.
Come on, give me something good. Jesus. How much barrel? Screw it.
Mining mode off.
Wow, that's, yeah, 2200. That's a lot of panels. 14. Jeez, now I'm seeing the panels. All right, scan. On the right side, the little meter thing, the bottom half is how focused your scan beam is. So if you have a bunch of nodes on the screen, you would scroll it further in to have a tighter scan setup to focus on one node rather than whatever would be closest. Come on. There we go. And that's a big boy, which I'm probably not going to be able to crack. Seriously? All right. This is going to be pathetic. If this one isn't decent, I'll head back to Arc 2. Thought about heading off to Arc 1. So you usually have better. I'm going to overshoot.
Mining mode on.
I overshot by a mile. Well, half mile. Come on. Come on. There we go. It's... Screw it. All right. Yeah, I'm just going to take junk to get this over with. And I do not remember which side is which. I think this is the arbor. Right now, when you go into the vehicle maintenance screen, it's still not very intuitive with the mole.
Fracturing mode.
Yeah, this is the arbor, right?
Mining mode.
So it gets to be a bit of a pain. I know I went over this in the previous mole video, but going back over it. When you're mining, let's tone that down a bit. Your first phase is your fracturing phase. You want to try and keep your beam in this green section here, so we gotta level off. And you keep it in the green section to fill up the green meter. You modify your laser intensity greater or lower to build up to this section. And that's your phase 1 of fracturing.
Extraction mode on.
And any rock that has a composition of an SCU of over like 9.8 or 9.9 needs a fracture. Everything below that, you can go straight into phase 2, which is extraction. And that is basically sucking in. This meter is your extraction power, how fast you suck. Take that however you want. And you just scan the rocks. Typically, you want a higher composition percent of the material you are focusing on. Normally, you don't want to pick up laurinite or any of the tier 2s because you're going to lose in your payout. unless an event like in 4.0.1 happens, you definitely don't want to go for cordium or copper. Really? 2 segments? Sweet crap. Alright, we're going to ARC 2. If I can't find crap in ARC 2, I'm just going back to Lyra. This is pathetic. I know my luck is crap, but wow. I have had good runs out here at Her 5. I have.
Mining mode on.
I believe.
Mining mode off.
Well, that was a waste of 20 minutes.
Engaged.
And we only got 6 out of 96 SU. Yeah, that's great. And this is why I personally prefer planet-side mining. Because out of a cluster of 5 or 6 rocks, you can at least find 1 or 2 that are decent tier 1s. If I was working with a partner or as a team, that quant, which I was just below cracking, we could have taken that and it would have been the entire run. So that was like 130 SC of quant. It was only about 26%, but still. At 100 SCUs, you're talking good 20, maybe 30 per SCU of quant off that rock. And that is a payday. Because 20 SCU, quant is currently going for 25K. So you're talking 40K, 400K right there. So yeah, that is a payday. There we go. All right, please, 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 please be good. And that was a close one. Go. Nope, not gear. App.
Landing gear down. Mining mode on.
Yeah, gear's up. Okay.
Landing gear up.
That was a fat finger. Come on. Oh, screw it. Not in the mood. That big at that resistance. We're going back to the helix. And this is probably going to require a double fracture. If a rock is big enough, when you fracture it the first time, the segments it breaks into could still be above the near 10 SCU. Oops, not that powerful.
Extraction mode on.
I am a little far away, but screw it. This actually is going to help a bit. Well, it should help with preventing the helix from jumping too much. Of course, that was a server lag. And so was that. Actually, no, that might have been instability. Main thing you want to be careful with the overcharge is going too far, because the more you fill the overcharge, the more segments of these rocks that break, that just disappear, vaporize, so you lose out on stuff. Yeah, these are too big. And I think I want to back up a little bit. Still going.
Mining mode on.
Alright. That should be good enough. And I'm probably going to head over to the left side to the Hasselhoff, because it does have a little bit more power than the Arbor.
Fracturing mode on. Mining mode on.
There we go. Yeah, the only real downside is to the Hasselhoff is it does have high instability. So, let me bump that up a little bit. Charge up while I'm talking. When you're looking at a rock, you want to focus on the mass and the resistance on top of the composition. The mass is how thick the rock is, and your laser power will be the determining factor of whether or not you can crack it. The resistance is how much of your laser power you're losing due to the rock's composition.
Attack on shield. Extraction mode on.
The formula that I think is still active for determining the mass that you can crack is your laser power divided by 0.2. But you also got to take into account your mining modules. Look over here on the right. See, we got a Riger 3 that's adding an extra 25% to the power. So that's almost compensating for the resistance being what it is. Well,
Fracturing mode on.
so basically losing 10% of laser power due to that resistance. The instability is basically a fluctuation in the laser's power against the rock. So it's either going to increase by a bit or like that, or it's going to decrease and act like it's not at its current power level. And like I said, the Hasselhoff has very high instability compared to other lasers. So it loves to jump. Oh, there's a direction. One thing that's not as prevalent of an item is inert materials, especially considering this rock was 100% laurinite.
Fracturing mode on.
There are... Nope, screw that. Mining modules like the flitters. Actually, the flitters are basically the only one that give you a reduction to inert material. Bad side of inert material is that you're wasting cargo space on them. We'll go back to that one later. So by wasting cargo space, you sit still. Nice mouse all over the place. You're losing out on payday. Oh crap! That was an oopsie. As big as this was, we are barely going to fill it halfway. Shit. That was instability, rearing its ugly head. Try to... Wow. Really bouncy. You know, when instability goes down into the lower range, it can make you think your laser's not powerful enough, so you overcompensate. And then you just shoot up into the red. Nope. There we go. Depending on how greedy you want to be, you can focus or, you know, take your time and look for high percentage resources. During my normal mining runs, I typically skip something that's either... I typically skip something that doesn't have 30% of a tier 1 resource. Because that's just wasting cargo space. There have been some people that complain about mining that, you know, there's no way to dump stuff that is useless out of your bags, but that is the core aspect of mining. You have to be picky with your picks. If not, you're just gonna, you know, come out like I am and have a crap run. I would be impressed if this run ends up being even 200k. Just with how bad things have been coming out. 33 SCU of laurinite. Yeah, this is gonna be a horrible run. Unless I get something amazing. That is too big. Actually, yeah, 38k I can't crack. I know that. Right off the top of my head. I really am not having a good run. Like I said, this is the reason why I do planet-side mining. But I wanted to showcase asteroid mining. And show why it sucks. Back off. Back off. Yeah, sure. Zero. Is that 0%? 0% resistance. With that, I could probably get lucky with the Hasselhoff. Center it a little, bring it out. If it had like 20% resistance, I'd probably have to go to the Helix. The Helix is the most powerful, but it requires you to be hugging a rock for its power to be effective. If you look over here on the left side, you'll see this is the max range that your laser's effective power. The optimal is where you're going to get the full power of your laser's fracturing effectiveness and extraction effectiveness. Anything beyond here, you're running into the danger of being too close to a rock when it fractures. Easy. If you're too close to a rock when it fractures, even with your shields up, you will take damage. Depending on how powerful the fracture is. Like if you go too far into the red when you overcharge, and you're too close, you run a significant risk of damaging your ship. You can blow modules off your mining lasers. You can blow your mining lasers off your ship. And any of that will hurt your piggy bank. Because each of these modules is 60k by themselves. So on the Helix, I have 2 Riker 3s. That's 120k if I screw up. Plus the fact that the Helix 2 itself is 108k. So you're at $250,000 if you blow up a rock and damage your ship. All right. Ow! Damn it! Oh, that's gonna hurt. Please drop, please drop, please drop. Okay, good. All right. That got me puckering. Ooh. If you see on the left side, that little danger zone shot up incredibly fast when this red overcharge shot up. Easy. And if you look over on the right, you see that we have 65 instability, which is why this laser is jumping all over the place on the right side power meter. Wow, that was...
Extraction mode on.
that was tense. Yeah, my heart rate shot up to 100. Between the servers acting up from time to time and the laser instability on the Hasselhoff, this can be nerve-wracking at times. It also gets to be very nerve-wracking when you're on the Helix, because the green zone for optimized gets to be very narrow. Like threading a needle narrow. And this should be the rest. And sorry. else we got out here? Ooh, I'm getting a little further away from these. Oh, even better. Higher instability. So I have to pay closer attention to this little bastard. And that was a server tick issue. One thing when you do mining a lot, you will get very accustomed to seeing when servers having issues. Like right there is server lag. You see the hiccups in the HEP in the bottom right. So the server is hiccuping here and there. The increase should be smooth for the most part. It shouldn't be stuttering that much. And I am getting way out of range for this. There is going to be variance during your SUs per second, but that's just because of your instability. So we're at like, what, 10 instabilities? So the variance isn't going to be massive, 0.3 to 0.5. All right. Can I finish off with you? No. What is this? I can finish off with you. The front one is crap. I might fracture it just to get to the back, but whatever. Easy. I don't want to do that again. That should be good. I only need 6 more. And this is a very depressing run. Alright. Seriously, there was like, what, 13, 14 different rocks that we came across? And excluding that one quant, which was just too big for me to crack, did not see a single tier 1 between 2 asteroid fields. That's... yeah, that's depressing. But at least we're in Arc 2 right now, so... let me see if I can find Lively. Yeah, there you are. And we are going to quant for 20 kilometers.
Engage. Quantum travel complete.
I really hope they bring back instance hangars. One thing I do not like about the station hangars is that it keeps putting me in a medium when I'm using medium ships. And I have to pull out the C2, then put it back in from the internal ASOP terminals, just so I can get a large hangar, engaging VTOL, to actually use the C2 again. Gear down.
Landing gear down.
So we've got 50.
Mining mode on.
We got 87 SCU of tier 2s. Taking off 15%. We'll probably come out with like 79. Power off. I think I'm a little too far back. That's interesting. Nope, it's good. Scoop. Right.
Welcome to the ASOP Your Fitness.
I'll see you later. Elevators. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, ship's gone. Let's go to the lobby. So we can go to the other elevators. And so I can suffocate, probably. Nope. Yeah, that suffocation bug is hit or miss with these stations. Go down to the refinery. And we'll do a quick once-over of the refinery system again.
Today's scheduled waste disposal has been postponed until further notice.
15 minutes. Downstairs is the mining shop and rental terminal. Up here is refinery terminal. Yep, I don't have anything in. I'm trying not to... Really? Wow. That is actually very impressive. So, with the refinery, I honestly don't know why they have the option to select things. I really think that's going to go with it. You have all these different options. They have different time frames which they complete, different amounts that they'll cost you, and they actually have a different output. There are only two that I can think of right now that have high yield. Ferron, which is your quick turnaround, so 30 hours, but it's going to cost you more, 21,000. And Dynex, if you don't care about how long it's going to take, which is 88 hours, but it's only 10,000. So Ferron will cost you twice as much, but you'll complete in about a third of the time. Dynex, what, 8 hours, 80 hours, 24, 48, 72. So that's 3.5 days, but it's only 10K. Ferron was a little over a day. But it costs 21,000. So as you see, we're losing a little bit more on the cordium because we're in lively. And we're losing a decent amount on the HEP. Base refinery loss is 15%. Then you tack on all these extra bonuses or negatives, which are all negative in my case. And these bonuses and negatives vary based on refinery. I operate out of Lively, mainly because quant and yeah, in the past it was because of quant, gold, and Bexlite. I think High Course over at Arc 1 has better Taranite, so I may or may not consider that in the future. Mainly because Bexlite and gold took a massive hit in terms of their pricing, which is unfortunate, even though they are tier 1s. That's the coordinate 426. Laranite, 2866. HEP is 4285. Aluminum is 198. I will put a link to a copy of my mining spreadsheet in the description in case anybody wants it for themselves. 87.29 for the time. So, yeah. What is today? 6. What do we got today? So, yeah, that's 3.5 days. And that run was disgustingly horrible. You could actually do better in a prospector. But since I was just rushing it for this video, which still ended up being long, yeah, the payout is going to be 177,000 from a mole. That is pathetic. But in case you're wondering, with the mole, you should be getting at least 300k per run. 350 should be your median. If you're doing quant, like, let me see if I can estimate that quant. What did we say? 20 SUs? Yeah, if I had been able to crack that quant rock and gotten at least 20 SCUs off of it, taking the refinery loss into account, that would have been 400k by itself, plus anything else I'd picked along the way. So for solo miners using a mole, I personally advise going planet side. If you're working with a crew, asteroid mining is definitely better. And I believe Pyro's mining setup, you do have better opportunities. I haven't really checked that out. I personally don't care about Pyro. I'm waiting for the next system that's going to drop whenever. Like I would say 4.2, 4.3. But, yeah. So, that's mole asteroid mining. Take it or leave it if you want.
A movie glass has been found.
And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.